Bonjour, bienvenue au Cas Surprise. Pouvez-vous confirmer votre lettre d'équipe?
J'ai.
Est-ce que vous préférez la lecture des règlements en français ou en anglais?
Anglais.
For this case, you'll have 20 minutes to make your presentation in front of the judges. If your presentation lasts under 18 minutes, you'll receive a 1-point penalty for every 30 seconds. If your presentation lasts under 15 minutes, your team will receive a score of 0 at the general ranking for this case. If after 20 minutes you have not completed the presentation, you'll be stopped and move on to the period of questions. At the end of the presentation, the judges will have 5 minutes to ask their questions. I remind the jury that it's mandatory to ask a minimum of 1 question during this period. If after 5 minutes you have not finished answering the questions, you'll be stopped. Throughout the presentation, I will indicate the remaining time using cardboards at 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, and 30 seconds. I'll make a countdown using my finger for the last 10 seconds. I remind you that it's prohibited to say the name of your university, NIU, you'll receive a penalty. I also remind the public that it's prohibited to use any electronic devices during the presentation, and that the public must stay quiet until the end of the period of questions. Before we begin, I'm asking the room to turn off their cell phones and to put them on mute so that we don't interrupt the presentation. I will now ask the judges to present themselves, and after you'll be free to start your presentation.
I, Collier, HR Business Partners. Nikki Hadi, VP Finance at Solten.
David Martel, Director of Operations at Solten. Eric Charlotte, Talent Acquisition Manager at Solten.
I'm a senior retired professor of human resource management.
Alright. Simply said, Soltech is building an empire. But with that information comes 2 things. 1, that with all growth comes change, and 2, that we believe that Soltech is holding something that's so spectacular at its core, and we're here to ensure that none of that gets lost in the midst of change. Hello everyone, bonjour tout le monde, je m'appelle Zita, voici Cathy Mahen. Today we will present to you an idea that we're really excited about, and that we think is really going to hit the core of your mandate. So, we're going to start with the company overview, we're going to talk about what our strategy is, then we're going to talk about the implementation process, follow through with the impact that we think is really going to have on your company, and then a period of question and answering. Alright, so to answer the company overview, we really asked ourselves, who is Soltech? Audiovisual service company, the 3rd largest company in the audiovisual industry, which is really amazing, with such a really strong brand image, company culture, and which is experiencing a lot of growth. But with all this growth, we asked ourselves, how do you continue to build your company while maintaining high standards of operations? To answer this question, we looked at 2 things. Where is Soltech today? And what does that mean for you? So where is Soltech today? Like I mentioned, very, very strong image, brand image, amazing reputation, great company culture. But what does that mean? We have to keep in mind those strengths, which are the company culture, and really making sure that any new or current employees are continuing to hold on to that. Second thing, experiencing some inefficiencies when it comes to operations because of the growth that you are experiencing. So we're looking at standardizing. It's really important that we make sure that standardizing operations across units, branches, divisions are done properly. And finally, there's a lot of growth in the operational divisions. So what does that mean? We need to make sure that there are enough resources to go around. And when I'm talking about resources, I mean corporate services.
So some of the alternatives that we're looking at, we mainly focused on 2 different axes. One is feasibility. So we wanted a strategy that is feasible and that you can implement with ease. And the second is because at the core, what you were good at is collaboration. And we wanted something that would really take advantage of that. So our strategy is to create a committee that coordinates the change management throughout the acquisition process and oversees any integration concerns commonly faced in the process from beginning to end. So some of the decision criteria that we looked at that our strategy has to hit includes, it has to align with Solotech's culture. It has to reduce any operational inefficiencies that you may face in the M&A process, to assist corporate services to support growing operational divisions, and finally, it has to improve the collaboration to be better prepared for the integration process throughout your growth. So what we looked at strategy, which hits these points. So what can this do for you? Well, our strategy, by implementing this, Solotech will form a team of cross-functional M&A specialists. They'll be able to simplify global operations and implement training sessions and workshops to really solidify an increased efficiency throughout the M&A process, a better, stronger collaboration, and finally 100% employee satisfaction. So in other words, by implementing our strategy, you'll be able to hit all the main points of your mandate while also ensuring an 100% employee satisfaction.
Alors, ce qu'on vous propose aujourd'hui, c'est quoi la stratégie qu'on vous propose? C'est une stratégie complète en 3 piliers. Donc, la première, ça va être de se spécialiser. Comment on va faire ça? On va former un groupe de 5 spécialistes qui va avoir ressources humaines, finances, opérations, un côté légal et un côté marketing. Puis, dans le fond, eux, ils vont s'occuper vraiment de l'implémentation des fusions et acquisitions. Donc c'est ça, on va en parler un peu plus tard. Ensuite, le deuxième pilier, ça va être celui de simplifier. Donc, simplifier les opérations, simplifier l'organisation structurelle, puis aussi, dans le fond, on veut avoir une bonne communication entre nos employés. Puis, on veut vraiment mettre les rôles et responsabilités de chacun de façon claire. Ensuite, le troisième, c'est de satisfaire. Vous êtes dans une grosse entreprise en haut de 1000 employés, donc on veut satisfaire ces employés-là qui sont au cœur de notre business. Donc, c'est ça, donc on va s'assurer qu'ils vont être bien formés, puis on va aussi s'assurer qu'il va y avoir une bonne collaboration qui va être efficace et harmonieuse. Donc, comme je l'ai mentionné, on est dans une grosse organisation, on se dit, on voit l'organisation structurelle, puis on se dit, qu'est-ce qui manque là-dedans? Donc, pour venir complémenter le tout, nous, on a regardé à votre équipe de M&A qui est en ce moment en place, puis on s'est dit, comment est-ce qu'on pourrait venir les aider pour vraiment que l'implémentation de ces fusions et acquisitions-là soit faite en 360 degrés. Donc, c'est vraiment une équipe qui va venir les assister, puis qui va faire, dans le fond, la période post-investissement versus les M&A qui vont pouvoir vraiment se focusser sur ce qui sont bons, qui est la recherche de nouveaux investissements.
So jumping into our first recommendation, and this is to specialize, and this is really the core of our strategy. So we're looking to form an advisory team, and this is an advisory team of selected cross-functional specialists. So this will be composed mainly of internal employees with management experience, and they will be working closely with the current M&A finance team to foster proper integration. So within this team within this advisory team, we'll have specialist roles. So we'll have a human resources specialist, an operations specialist, finance, marketing, and legal affairs. And how will this team work together? Well, these people will be experts in their fields, but at the end of the day, they'll still need a way to work together in order to accomplish their mandate. So we plan on implementing a committee charter outlining SMART goals. So these are specific, measurable, actionable, and timely goals, the duties of each role, meeting times, and how decision-making is done. We'll integrate this team using an onboarding training session, and we'll go more in depth into this later in our strategy. And this onboarding training session will include going over the charter and some situational clips. So where will this team be based? Well, Solotech is a global company, but we plan on implementing this at the company's HQ in Montreal so that they are closer to the upper management team and to the CEO. However, this team will also be highly mobile, and they will be doing some traveling, as we will be outlining later in the strategy. So why have we decided to form this advisory team? Well, currently you have your corporate services team, you have your upper management, but we really saw a missing link between the M&A finance team and the rest of the company. So we want this team to have direct access to the CEO and the management team. And ultimately, because they are experts in each of their functions, they have the resources available to kind of see every single step throughout the M&A process, but more importantly, in post-integration as well. Now, going forwards, we will be implementing a training process for new hires to the team. Although this starts as an internal team, we realize that people do move around in their roles, And when we do onboard external hires in the future, we will need to implement a training process there. And this is a pilot project, but we do see it being expandable to as Solotech grows as well.
All right, possible risks that come with that. Like I mentioned, company culture is really, really important. The risk that might occur is if you have new hires that potentially don't really associate with the company culture. The way we're going to be targeting and mitigating that risk is we're targeting internal hiring. These are people who know about the culture, who are familiar with what Solotech is all about, and so those are the people that we want to be targeting. Second risk that we looked at is potential high costs in recruitment. But because we have a wider scale and that we're really looking within Solotech, we don't have additional salaries or benefits. It's really going to be within the company. And then the third thing is bureaucracy complication. Because we're adding kind of another step in the hierarchy, if you will, it might be a little confusing, but we're really making a smaller team. It's people that are going to have access to the CEO, so it's not going to be as confusing because there's going to be a direct communication link. All right, recommendation number 2. We're going to be looking at something that we call simplify. When we're talking about simplify, we're looking at a connotation of standardization, cooperation, collaboration, and communication. Simplifying is basically the standardizing of the whole process for the units. We're looking at our first solution, which is booking database. We have learned that one of the issues that Solotech has experienced is with other businesses that they have acquired, there's problems when it comes to the equipment, like double booking. We're thinking that the booking database would be important, really pertinent as well. So it's basically some kind of database that an acquired company and Solotech would have, that they'd have access to, basically. And that way, if, let's say, Solotech books something first, there's not going to be another way for another company to book it. It's secured. The other company is going to have the access to find another alternative, but that problem would be eliminated. And then we made sure that specific people would have access to the database, so there wouldn't be a lot of miscommunication of who did what. Second part is the internal communication system. We think this is really important. Because of the brand image of collaboration, helpfulness, working together, we thought it'd be important to have a place or a channel where people who had questions, concerns, could vocalize them. So within this channel, let's say with mergers, acquisitions, people who are not really sure who they're supposed to be talking to secure-wise or what problem affects who the most, we thought this would be another way for them to talk about their concerns. That way, whenever they needed help, someone would be able to provide an answer. There's also a catalog of all global processes. So for an acquired company who's not sure who deals with what, everything is going to be specified over there. And then change champions. So we talked about having an advisory team. This is really interesting because change champions are going to be the core of that team. It's people who turn questions and concerns into answers and solutions.
So going into some of the risks that we talked about for this strategy, as with any implementing new processes in a company, there will be some resistance to accept new processes, for example, like the booking database, but we plan on really using the full change management approach to help implement this. And also, if there is a lack of coordination within the team, we are confident that Solotech, because you value collaboration as a culture, and it's really a value within the team, having people from internally who already embody these values will help to mitigate this potential risk. And then finally, into our third recommendation, this is really workshops and training sessions, and they're for different audiences. So for the first one, this is workshops given by the advisory team to employees at the acquired company. So we understand that you've acquired some companies that do retain their own identity post-acquisition. But since they are still part of the Solotech family, it's important to disseminate values, who is Solotech, who are employees, equipping them with any change management scenarios, work methods training, and also implementing a survey 3 months post-acquisition to monitor satisfaction and feedback. So this would be conducted on location at the acquired company's office, and this would be conducted by the advisory team. And we feel it's very important to implement this at the beginning of the integration process, and if needed, have a refresher workshop after a year. The next are training sessions. So this is the training session mentioned earlier to onboard the new team. So this includes going over the committee charter, making sure that the mandate is very clear for this new team. Also including team building activities to really hit the ground running, since a big part of this team is to be able to work together to work on any issues that may come up, and communication is very important there. And also a culture refresher to really bring this team together, which Solotech's values and their mindset. So this is done at HQ, at your home base, and we plan on doing this once. But going forwards, when there are external hires, this kind of training session would be very important to bring everyone on the same page. And finally, global learning sessions. So this is for the advisory team. And this is where it comes into play that they are going to be a more mobile team. So the advisory team will visit newly acquired and integrated branches of Solotech. And their mandate is three-pronged. So first, it's to monitor the acquired company post-integration really on the ground. So they will see in person and be able to interact there. They'll also be able to gain feedback on HQ culture mandates and see how it's being implemented with the employees. But most importantly, because the advisory team are a team of experts and they are the link between operations and the corporate services, they need to be on top of what the best practices are. So for example, if they visit a newly acquired branch in a different area and the operations specialist sees that there's a certain process that's being done really well, it's their responsibility then to bubble it up to corporate services, to upper management in order to have this implemented company-wide. So this is done at the acquired companies on location, and we plan on doing this yearly and more frequently if needed.
All right. So risks, one of the potential is friction with the new employees. If you have a training and they're not really appreciating what the new culture is, that might be something, but that's what the workshops are here for, is to see the feedback of how other people are experiencing the merge, the acquisition, and to learn more information about the company itself. All the feedback we can take and we can turn into something better. The second thing is there's only one training session for that advisory team. That could be a problem, but the way we see it is we would be suggesting a team of champions, the people who know about change. And so these people would be equipped, one, and two, we would be giving an online committee charter, so in case they needed more questions or if they needed a little bit more information, they would have access with that charter for more information.
Alors, c'est quoi le plan? Comment on fonctionne ça? Dans le fond, pour les 6 premiers mois, on va commencer avec 2 mois, vraiment, ça va être un processus de recrutement. On va aller trouver les No Change Champions qu'on parlait. On va essayer de regarder vraiment où est-ce qu'on pourrait positionner l'équipe dans l'organisation de Solotech. Ensuite, pour les 2 mois suivants, on va vraiment, dans le fond, travailler main à main avec l'équipe de M&A. On va vraiment s'assurer qu'il y a un partage d'informations, c'est très important. Puis, ils vont aussi définir c'est quoi le lien entre ces 2 équipes-là. Donc, vraiment, le post-investissement qui est notre équipe l'équipe que vous allez implémenter. Puis, il va y avoir le pré-investissement qui est vraiment l'équipe de M&A qui est vraiment plus basée finance et chiffres. Par la suite, on va se mettre les mains à la pâte à partir de mai environ. Puis, ils vont commencer pour leur premier mandat, que ce soit une nouvelle acquisition qu'il va avoir rendue là, ou sinon, la dernière acquisition, on va aller essayer de voir comment ça fonctionne, est-ce que le lien est bien fait. Puis ensuite, pour le deuxième 6 mois, c'est ça, on va vraiment travailler, on va mettre la main à la pâte. Puis vraiment, c'est important que ce processus-là soit vraiment flexible et ça va être en constant ajustement. Donc, c'est ça. Ensuite, après la première année, il faut garder en tête que c'est un projet pilote qu'on met ici. Donc, après la première année, on va avoir un sens critique, on va y voir est-ce qu'on a mis cette stratégie-là, est-ce que c'est quelque chose qu'on aimerait implémenter, est-ce qu'on a besoin de plus de spécialistes. On veut avoir un bulletin assez spécifique dans le fond, critique comment est-ce qu'on a mis notre première année. Puis, c'est ça aussi, on veut tout mettre sur papier. On va être sûr que le processus a été mis sur papier, puis c'est ça pour les prochains. Ensuite, ici, un petit point pour dire que notre stratégie est à un certain point de développement durable. Dans le sens que c'est sûr qu'il y a le côté de développement durable face à nos employés. C'est important pour nous de les satisfaire. Puis aussi, dans le fond, il y a le côté un peu écologique, du côté qu'on sait que ça va être une équipe mobile. On va faire attention pour qu'il y ait le moins possible de voyagement. C'est moins coûteux, mais aussi c'est plus environnemental. Donc on va utiliser des plateformes comme Skype, tout. On veut avoir des bonnes plateformes pour avoir une bonne communication, mais on peut quand même réduire le voyagement. Donc, dans le fond, avec le peu de chiffres qu'on avait, on s'est fait un petit budget par rapport à cette stratégie-là. On veut quand même un management ici qui va être assez senior. Donc, on a justifié nos chiffres avec excusez-moi, avec Statistique Québec, qui étaient les entreprises privées de plus de 500 employés, puis dans le troisième quart, dans le quatrième quart. Donc, ça donne des salaires environ comme ça, environ 100 000 par employé qu'on va utiliser, puis environ 10 000 aussi par employé pour le voyagement. Donc, ça fait quelque chose d'environ 550 560 000 par an.
So for our key performance indicators, what we're looking for is 60 to 70% in completion for our workshops, so attendees, 90% completion of surveys because it's something that's way more accessible that they can do faster, and then to increase overall the communication and collaboration throughout the entire M&A process. That's what we're looking for. We really believe that the solution will be able to hit all of those key factors, and we're confident that it's going to hit the core of the mandate. Merci beaucoup, et si vous avez des questions, s'il vous plaît, laissez-nous savoir.
J'ai une question sur le budget.
Bien sûr.
Est-ce que c'est un budget, mettons, par année avec acquisition? Est-ce que c'est un budget avec un effet multiplicateur quand il y a plusieurs acquisitions dans une année? Comment est-ce que vous avez...
En fait, on voit ça comme une équipe de 5 spécialistes qui vont être temps plein pour ce mandat-là. Donc, dans le fond, c'est un budget d'environ 550 000 par année, puis même on peut l'utiliser, si on veut, quand on va faire notre NPD là, en finance pour les nouveaux investissements. On peut même ajouter ces coûts-là pour voir si c'est un investissement qui reste positif malgré les coûts de nos 5 spécialistes. Là. On peut l'intégrer là-dedans.
Puis j'en profite pour une autre question. Quel changement vous metteriez en place par rapport à ce que vous avez présenté si les acquisitions se situaient, mettons, en dehors de l'Amérique du Nord ou en dehors des États-Unis?
On a pensé à cette stratégie-là. Pour le moment, en fait, c'est sûr qu'on va commencer avec juste 5 spécialistes à temps plein, mais idéalement, si plus tard on voit que c'est une stratégie qui fonctionne bien, c'est quelque chose qui peut implémenter plusieurs équipes comme ça, du genre. Donc, il peut en avoir une en Asie, il peut en avoir une en Europe, quelque chose du genre, que eux, ça va être vraiment des spécialistes, mais aussi de l'endroit. Donc, géographiquement, ils vont être situés dans ces endroits-là, puis ils vont être le lien, puis ils vont peut-être être encore plus spécialisés que cette première équipe-là qu'on essaye en projet pilote, dans le fond.
So in your specialized strategy, when you say form an advisory committee and a group of internal employees, so how does that tie into the new roles that you have in your budget? So are all the advisory committee does it consist of all new employees, or are they internal employees?
So we're suggesting internal employees. So that would really just be the cost of those internal employees, but as you're already probably paying for these people, the cost would be decreased, which is just to give a perspective of what that would cost, like looking at the internal employees and looking at the cost of travel as well.
Okay, so your strategy does not require hiring?
Additional hiring, no.
Comment est-ce que les bonnes pratiques sur les compagnies qu'on acquiert vont être rapatriées chez nous? Il n'y a pas cette...
Oui, c'est ce qu'on a mentionné, que ces gens-là, ils ont le mandat, ils ont la responsabilité, dans chacun de leurs spécialités, d'aller trouver c'est où les bonnes pratiques qu'ils font dans ces compagnies-là. C'est leur mandat de le rapporter après ça au management.
Ils font l'échange entre les deux, ils descendent l'information et les montent l'information.
Exactement. C'est vraiment un lien, puis on va être sûr que ce soit 360 degrés, puis que la compagnie soit bien active, parce qu'on est au courant qu'un bon investissement, ça garde sa valeur seulement si c'est bien intégré.
Quel pouvoir est-ce que vous donnez à ce groupe-là à ce moment-là? Parce que là, au début, j'avais cru comprendre que c'est comme un pouvoir un peu plus de... C'est un groupe qui fait plus pour justement de communication entre les différents niveaux. Mais est-ce qu'ils ont un pouvoir légitime dans le compagnie ou ils sont...
Si je peux.
C'est vraiment avoir des rencontres entre cette équipe et le CEO. Donc c'est là que ça va se passer quand on a les décisions à faire. Vu qu'ils vont voir, OK, il y a ce processus qu'on trouve qui est vraiment intéressant que cette division est en train de faire, on trouve que ça serait pertinent de le placer, bien, le CEO va avoir cette conversation, décider, ah ouais, je pense que si vous le mettez avec cette équipe telle comme ça, ils peuvent faire cette décision, mais c'est plus par rapport aux suggestions, par rapport à la communication, et entre ces rencontres, ils vont pouvoir faire la décision.
Mais juste pour ajouter, en fait, c'est des change champions comme on en a parlé. Donc, c'est sûr qu'en fait, pour venir rechercher l'information, Puis la montée, c'est pas eux qui ont le mandat de venir faire les changements dans Solotech, mais pour les compagnies qui vont être acquéries. Pour eux, par contre, là, c'est vraiment de faire du changement, puis de s'assurer que le lien est bon, puis de faire un lien solide entre les deux compagnies, puis s'il y a des changements à faire, ce qu'il va en avoir, c'est leur rôle de justement prendre la décision de faire, OK, on change ça, puis on faire un trade-off entre la nouvelle compagnie puis Solotech.
Another question. So you say again, going back to my earlier question about the employees. So they're all internal employees. How would you balance their current tasks with this new task that they're going to be having in terms of integration and with acquisitions?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and that's something that we actually talked about a lot in detail. And we were discussing whether to go with a temporary team and have these people kind of add on these tasks in addition to their current roles. But ultimately, we thought we would actually be moving internally these people into this role as a permanent role for them because there were many issues that we discussed with balancing
All right.
current roles and
Time's up.
Thank you. Thank you.